Sagittarius, welcome to your reading. I've laid your cards already. So, what we've got going on here, just to see if you want to stay or not, is temperance is at the basis of the reading. And I think this is about alchemy. It's about alchemizing some situations. And we see right at the end that you get to a really, really good place. This is our potential outcome. This is our outcome. And it's very interesting. It seems to be how to... I think it's something about how to alchemize these two. Yeah, bringing the different elements together. It's interesting. It will become clearer as we carry on. But so it's just, in short, I think what we're talking about is alchemizing elements of your inner and outer being in order to move the Wheel of Fortune on and get what you need out of life. And it looks very successful. So jumping in, your inner world, the Knight of Wands. I'm just going to look at him. The horse looks quite cartoony. I've got my little versions here. Looks quite cartoony and like a bit of a shy horse, doesn't he? He's quite a big, fatty, sweet. He's sort of, look at this, the back of his hind legs. They're incredible. So he feels very powerful. Your natural instincts, your action is powerful. It's quite dynamic, but it's also a little bit sturdier than we'd expect for the Knight of Wands. So internally you're feeling a little bit kind of feisty, like you want to rush around and, it's a bit of the love 'em and leave 'em, rushing after opportunities, maybe not being so committed with them. So not that sure internally, but full of fire, full of libido, full of real gusto. How you're acting, how this makes you act on the outside is it ups your sense of value, which I think is quite interesting with the Queen of Wands, Pentacles rather. It ups your how much you want from life in a way. She's the bougie queen. I think it's something to do with libido, making you feel rather highly valued. That sense of creativity and excitement suddenly puts you in mind of your value as a person. This is, again, these tiny, teeny, tiny ones. Look at the rabbit that looks a bit like an etching from an illustration, this one here, from a sort of children's book. So it's a sort of almost like a cartoony version of how it makes you act in the outside world, is thinking, I need to be valued, I need to be treated seriously, but it's not a particularly realised version of that that person, that energy somehow. I don't know whether either of these are particularly familiar to you. Somehow I think they're not. It's interesting. With the Temperance card at the base, see, I can't quite see if this is getting into focus. This is what I think we're really doing. I think we're alchemizing these energies. I think there's a pause in the piece of music, which no doubt the Knight of Wands will find incredibly frustrating because he likes to keep going. Queen of Pentacles will be fine with it. It's like this giant pause where we sort of change the overture, sort of either ramps up or ramps down. You know, it's like some new bit of the music is starting, some new bit of our life is starting. The sun is coming up in the background. It actually looks a bit like a bomb going off in the background, but it is the sun, and it's very white, that sun, a bit like the fool's sun, which is innocent. So there's a sense of innocence and openness and optimism and freshness. The angel's got a bit of a miserable face on. But yeah, there's a great amount of important work being done here. It feels really, really amazing. I went yesterday to the Il Giardino dei Tarocchi here, which is in Tuscany, and it was my first time, and I'd sort of thought, oh, I don't know how good that will be, but actually I have to say it was spectacular. We walked into this kind of main arena. I'll probably do a video on it because I took tons of footage. And you're faced with these giant statues. You've got the Empress to your left, just far left, and sort of behind you, the Strength. And then straight ahead is a combination of the High Priestess and the Emperor. Absolutely amazing, with the sun to your right. And then as you climb up and through these gardens, honestly, if you ever get a chance to go to them and you're interested in tarot, do it, because you can get into all these different sculptures and they're so imaginatively realised. Very naive but joyful. The kids are all delighted. Even dogs are allowed in and they're loving it too. As one of the first structure we entered was Temperance, and it was unbelievable inside because it was your first experience of walking in to this beautiful floor full of stars, tiles with these beautiful stars on them, and then all of the walls of this round structure are mosaicked with really beautiful hearts and kind of childlike imagery, mirror. Everything's reflective. And imagine like a sort of domed hut. Sorry, I will carry on with your reading. But I think it's something to do with this because it's interesting. The way that Nikki, I forget her name, had realised the Temperance was so outside you saw the kind of two cups being poured, and inside, with all of this beauty going on, was directly opposite the door was an altar with one of those burning perpetual sort of, those long burn red candles in the long glass thing, and pictures of her loves and her relatives. So I wonder whether, because I'm thinking of that, there might be an element of these could be characteristics you've inherited, people that you relate to that you've sort of become quite like. It's interesting. I like the interpretation. I suppose we do inherit these characteristics. This is quite fiery with the wings, and then obviously we've got the water and the earth here. There seems to be a balance of the elements. I guess air here. It is interesting, and these irises relate to a little nymph who was known for coming down from the heavens with sort of moments of extreme inspiration that she would drop into people's heads. So maybe some ancestral work going on, and they might be feeding into your consciousness. In the recent past, the Hierophant, so feeling like you want to get things morally correct. Also maybe looking at your family traditions, your heritage, traditional things about where you come from, that may have started this quest on to sort of, I guess, mix in some more kind of heritage is what's coming to me now. Mix in some more elements of your family, of these characteristics, in order to value the maternal, but also the drive that's got you here, the combination of these. It's like the egg being fertilized in a way, the combination of this kind of daredevil attitude of maybe, kind of pioneering kind of relatives, and then the ability to care and value yourself. It's really interesting. A potential outcome with the Death and the Emperor is another, new sun coming up. So we see the sun coming up there in the background, and here a less innocent sun, a yellow sun coming up as the new king is born after the death of the old king. It's interesting because this would be being called the papass originally, and as I record this today, I'm in Italy, and we've just heard this morning of the death of the Pope Francisco. So it does feel a bit shades of this energy. It's interesting. So a new king will be born, a new pope will be born, and again we've got the bishop pleading with death, for petitioning him about what we're not sure. Surely he's not telling him not to come. But anyway, there's a rebirth. And the rebirth is with something quite dynamic and powerful, quite rigid with the emperor, but very structured and gives you quite a lot of authority. The red robes of the Hierophant, the red robes of the emperor, interesting, standing out to me, and her red. So what does he look like to me today? Very arid background, those mountains, which isn't dissimilar to the arid background of the Knight of Wands. It's a formidable kind of potential outcome, isn't it? It says there will have to be a reckoning. We are putting, I mean, I suppose the Emperor would be really interested in issues of heritage. He'd be very, very interested in that and protecting his own. So I suppose there's a sense of a rebirth of your heritage coming here as a potential outcome. In the near future, feeling a bit left out in the cold, not quite sure still how these energies are going to let you into that church, needing some things, some needs, some physical needs met. Very pixelated, like, what's he called? Chuck somebody, that American artist. Sort of as if nothing's clear. You're either too far or too near away to see things properly. Yeah. So, a little moment of kind of a wobble coming up, perhaps because things are sort of changing in your identity so much. In your attitude, we've got the King of Swords in reverse. He's the most like the Emperor out of all the kings, and the Emperor is a mixture of all the kings. And then we've got the Page of Pentacles and the Two of Cups. So you're sort of not wanting to think logically and CEO-like. You're sort of a bit more learning about these energies that you're mixing together very diligently and wanting to share with your community your love of what you've found. You're wanting to partner with these two energies, mixing these two energies, the Queen of Pentacles and the Knight of Wands. Very potent. And you're not really interested in logically thinking it through, even though that is quite like the Emperor. I don't think you want to do that. You're sort of enjoying going with the feeling of it, and the Page would relate to the Queen. We haven't got another wand here, but we have got these two cups here being shared, which are a bit like the two cups with the alchemist. The angel is alchemizing all of this, so maybe love is the secret ingredients that mixes these things together. Your environment, yeah, there's a few battles going on. It might be that as you emerge in this new personality, bringing these new energies to the forefront, that people don't like it. That it's another five. So we've got the Five of Pentacles, we've now got the Five of Swords. Mars entering the suit. It feels quite punchy. It feels uncomfortable, but then change always does, doesn't it? And perhaps people aren't liking how you're valuing yourself and how you're resurrecting yourself in some sort of sense. And maybe it's unsettling people. Your hopes and fears. You fear that there will be absence, delay and separation, that this won't come to pass, whatever this transformation is. And maybe there's a small part of you that hopes for that as well, because it's started to make things a bit uncomfortable in your environment. And so can you really go through with this? It's interesting here that you've retired him to the upside down position. I think the mental aspect is a little bit tricky here. The swords, which is air, thought, attitudes, all of those things are kind of getting in the way of the instincts and the physicality and the kind of value of this situation. Once you start getting into the swords, it becomes a little bit tricky, certainly on this bit. It logically, it doesn't make sense to you somehow, I think. But then in this beautiful ending, we get a positive sword. She's in the upright, the Page of Swords. She's youthful like these other pages. We had another page. No, just this page. She's youthful. She's a strategist. Look how her sword goes off the page. She's got higher ground. And with it, this recognition of the Six of Wands and the change that you're looking for in the Wheel of Fortune. Suddenly you're being recognised by those around you. This fight is over. This value has been instated. I love it. All of those wandy wands, the Knight of wands are now being held aloft. And the value of the Queen of Pentacles has come in. This is exactly the combination of those two energies that you'd want, the Six of Wands. It's saying passion, recognition, status, your community seeing you for who you are, but also, the wands, your passions are being held aloft. And it's then creating this change in the Wheel of Fortune. So finally you use the swords in the right way, which is, okay, I don't really understand what these urges are that I'm getting, but I'm just going to make it up a bit, and I'm going to go for what I think I should do in this situation. And it does indeed bring change. So that's beautiful. I'm going to cap this. I'm going to cap this with a card from the Enchanted Tarot. Let's see. So is there anything about this reading that you'd like us to concentrate on? Wow, 7 of Visions. Yeah, pick a vision, because I think this is when we're not being very clear. Let's see how they define this. This is the 7 of Cups, and it's when everything's sort of floating around because we're not grabbing hold of what we need to make happen. Have we got any element of that? Well, I suppose with the Temperance there's a big pause. So maybe it's saying don't pause for too long. 7 of Visions. Confusion, a riddle with no answers. Wait for clarity, do not act yet. Well, that would sort of be the Temperance's advice as well. Like, wait for the clarity, wait for the change. All of the visions in this gazing bowl are things that you've seen in the forest. Can you find them in other cards? Well, we're not going to do that. Carefully descending the weathered stone stairs, glittering with dew, you approach the stone fountain at the bottom of the grotto. Your trials in the forest have made you doubt your course, and you seek guidance from the ancient gazing bowl. At first you see only your reflection in the dark surface, but as you breathe upon the water, images begin to appear, fragments of visions swirling around. I don't even know whether this is in focus. The gazing bowl is telling you that many futures are possible, but nothing has been settled yet. This card is also an admonition against escaping into delusion. Your lack of direction may be the result of preferring fantasy to reality. If seeking divinatory guidance only makes you more confused, stop asking now. Badgering the oracle will only muddy the waters. If you ask too many questions, you'll get too many answers. So there's a lack of clarity, and a need to pick and move forward. Let's see what the Shining Tribe Tarot has to say. It's like a whole bunch. We're not going to take that. Shining Tribe Tarot. Knowledge and Life. This is one of the extra cards because they are tarot, but she put some extra cards in, and I love this one. It's really beautiful. I read it for the first time the other day. It's very short, so we can read it in its entirety. Knowledge and Life. Fire of Suit of Trees. This card symbolises the fire of existence, the complex relationship between knowledge, experience, and life energy. In the Garden of Eden, we read in Genesis that there were 2 trees, the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. But Adam and Eve do not seem to know about the tree of life until they have eaten from the tree of knowledge. Thus, we might say, in paradise, life was hidden inside knowledge. But now in our outer state, we look at the Kabbalistic diagram of the tree of life and discover a hidden Serahira, known as knowledge. Thus, in our existence as exiles from true home, knowledge is hidden inside life. This card, therefore, is about the power of our experiences and what we learn from them. So I suppose it's trees, which is wands. It's saying, because of this confusion, it's saying you don't really know until you try, because we're not picking anything. So though we've got temperance alchemizing, you do have to ignore the absence, delay and separation and try, experience life. Then you'll start to experience yourself moving things forward, being highly valued and being in flow with life. Right, what else have I got here? I've got some Mystical Moments cards. Let's get those out of their bag. Let's have one of those. Is there anything you'd like to comment on this reading here? Oh, for obviously Daisy and, death again. Daisy and Sagittarius. That's a lovely death, isn't it? It's a beautiful one because it shows the rebirth, the butterfly that is being reborn. So you do have to allow parts of your identity to die. That's being emphasised for us. But through that, the spring comes these beautiful flowering. So it might feel a little bit bare and exposing to start with, but there is this beautiful flowering and the transformation of the butterfly, which is beautiful. And what else have we got here? We'll have one from the Latua Tarot. It's just fun getting all the different types of images in here. Anything you'd like to comment on? King of Swords and the Empress now turning up for her Emperor. And the King of Swords who we had in reverse here. Maybe it's saying, don't ignore me. Actually, maybe in your attitude you need to use me and not be frightened of thinking too hard about all of this. Let's see what the little book says about him. I mean, obviously I know what he means to me, but I quite like seeing their definitions. Intellectual, articulate, confident, focused, sharp, logical, authoritative, critical thinking skills. His hand held high. Well, it's a different one. He doesn't have his hand held high here. You see, sometimes they do too here. His hand is not held high at all. The sword in his right hand, his head held high, I was misreading it. His sword in his right hand, hand of action, this king exudes confidence and authority. His winged crown represents mental agility and the broad expanse of the sky, his ability to see the big picture through the lens of reason. This king is the master of the mind. He's skilled in speech, thought, logic, and he's the authority figure who is articulate and confident. He has a high standards for truth and justice, valuing knowledge and facts. He works hard to defend and protect them. This card asks that we, the power of the mind, be more rational and flex our critical thinking skills. So he is talking about the emperor who's behind here. And it's interesting because his sword really is not held high. I kept saying that. And this afternoon we went to San Galgano and we went to the church that's next door. I forget the name of it. Wow. There was this character who lived very close to the time of San Francisco, St. Francis actually. And he was called San Galgano, and he was a warrior. And he eventually saw the light and buried his sword right in this rock, which is inside the church. So it's very like the King Arthur legend. There's a sword that they've carbon dated to the 1200s or 11 something or other, and it's in a rock. So it was extraordinary when I first saw it a few years ago. It's a beautiful, beautiful church. I might do something on it and do a little video on it because it's so beautiful. It's got this incredible black and white swirling ceiling. Anyway, so he's turning up sort of peaceful, but to back up the emperor and say it's okay to think. You can, okay, your attitude is saying he's dangerous, but actually he doesn't have to be because his sword is down and he's clever. And then the empress, obviously the consort of our emperor, which feels very balanced. It feels like a really lovely partnership. And what do we see about her? The empress, number 3. Daughter of the mighty ones. Creativity, growth, fertility, motherhood, loving, nurturing, pregnancy, fecund, giving and receiving, sensual, flourishing Mother Earth. The Empress sits surrounded by nature's thriving fecundity. She languidly plucks her guitar, wearing a crown of 12 stars, a symbol of the zodiac. Around her neck rests a strand of 7 pearls representing the ancient planets. The crown and pearls symbolise the potency of the universe within her. Her beautiful floral gown and the dove perched on a plinth are each reflections of Venus. Oftentimes the Empress is shown pregnant or with child, but in this card her creative magic shines through with music. The Empress is not only a mother, but also a creatrix in all forms. I just have to tell you that at this garden, Giardini dei Tarocchi, oh my goodness, the Empress, I can't even begin to explain. Outside she's just magnificent, this beautiful, big boobied, unbelievably huge sculptural form, and then as you climb up to her you suddenly realise from behind you can get into her, and inside it's vast. It's like a house. It's much bigger than my home in London, and it's full of things like dining tables and bedrooms and kitchens and bathrooms, but with mirror all around. It's so creative. So it's sort of talking about her inner creative life, isn't it? And the fact that you don't just have to have babies with her. This is about you now becoming super creative with this mixture of high value and lots of passion. Wow. I'm going to pull a little charm or two. What have we got here? So a fairy, I mean, it did originally remind me a bit of the Temperance, to be honest, so that's probably why it's turning up. The pentacle that she's holding, all your value, suddenly, coming to fruition, and then the toadstool. That's cool. I can't quite see what that bit is at the back of the toadstool. It's interesting, isn't it? What is that? So toadstool, sort of things coming up from the ground, incredibly potent things coming up from past ancestors and providing a transformative experience of life. Mycelium connections, that's beautiful. Now we're going to pull an Oracle of the Mystical Moments. We're nearly finished. White Rose of Hope. Oh, how lovely. I was just drawing and annotating a Fool today. I thought I'd make a little series of videos on how to read the tarot, and the white rose is obviously a big part of him, and we've got some white roses right next to where I'm sitting. You'll see them on that video if I publish it. And they're beautiful. White Rose of Hope. Hope, beacon, solution, beginnings. We see a woman dressed in blue, standing somewhere in a lonely landscape. Darkness surrounds her, but a shining white rose glows as a beacon and illuminates the night. Maybe this woman is lost, maybe she's uncertain about her feelings, yet thanks to the light of the flower, she can find her way. White rose symbolise hope, new beginnings, admiration and young love. There are exciting times ahead, there sure are. And that's a sort of little, don't worry if you feel a bit lost. There's some amazing, exciting times ahead. I don't know what else we could pull. I've got some oracles. We'll just quickly pull, see if there's anything else that wants to pop out. Anything from this oracle pack to add to this beautiful moment of transformation and recognition. 3, it's a bit Greek. Disruption, the Queen, the Swan. So disruption to where you're at normally at the moment. And then the Queen, who's a bit, which says woman, fertility, feminine power, sensuality, sexuality, friendship. And the Swan, transformation, trusting your psychic gifts. I mean, it says after the disruption of bringing in this new energy, it's sort of talking about this, isn't it? There will be this Empress, this new feeling of partnering with the Emperor and recognition, and then this beautiful transformation. Trust your psychic gifts. That's lovely. And then what have we got from these ones? Oh, I've left that one in the... What have we got? Here we go. White buffalo. Well, that's just a gift. That's amazing. That's like a really beautiful offering from the spirit world, and a big one. So we love that. And then I wanted to just pull one more oracle, which are from these ones. I can't remember what they're called. Anything you want to add? Beauty, wood nymph. Well, that's the Empress. I think it's saying you're going to end up, and it's the Queen of Pentacles. So we've got lots of Queen energy, the Queen in that oracle, and the Empress turning up. I mean, I think that's what all of these cards are saying. And the beauty here of the wood nymph, who's a bit like where that mushroom would come from. I think what it's really saying is that this transformation is going to leave you quite resplendent at the end, highly valued, very, very beautiful in the eyes of everyone else, and sort of, regal, queenly. It's amazing. It's such beautiful energy. Before I lose all of these in the grass, as the sun starts to go down behind the houses, I might leave it at that. But thank you so much, and I hope to see you again, or talk to you again.